You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from Nvidia to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is after the closing bell. Time to break down what's lighting up the world of options. Yes, it is time once again for the Hot Options Report. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as on the network upon which all of you folks are binging these days. I want to remind you, coming down to the wire here towards the end of the year already. Man, this year flying by. So if you want to get your name in the hat for the final Pro Trading Crate of 2025, you also want to get access to the upcoming Vol Deathmatch 2.0, awesome pro Q&A sessions, awesome options oddities, live streams, giveaways, exclusives. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. And speaking of learning more, that is the theme of the Hot Options Report today. Going to do something a little bit different because we've been crunching this data for you for a little bit here on the show. And so we thought, you know, this is a shortened holiday week, not a lot going on in the markets. So we thought, what better time to tackle a little bit more of a deep dive into crunching this data, crunching this flow, and who better to bring on to do that than our old buddy, Mr. Nick Howard, the creator of the tool that brings you all this flow, aka QuikOptions, aka the creator of the URL, thehotoptionsreport.com. Mr. Nick, welcome to the Hot Options Report, and happy holidays to you, sir.
Oh yeah, thank you. What a great intro, and what a intro for all the places to get options information that you have there just from the Options Insider Network. So it's pretty fun. I'm looking forward to participating today and give people a little bit of insight and try to get some feedback from people if they've been using the report or were even hearing. So that it'll be fun to hear what people have to say.
Now let's start breaking it down. And since this is your data, Mr. Nick, you can dive in whenever you want. If you want to sprinkle in a little extra pixie dust on any of this, have at it. That said, listeners, if you fire up thehotoptionsreport.com, you're going to find a lot of stuff over there, including what's lighting up the tape out there today. If you're wondering, was it a explosive day on this shortened holiday trading week? And again, this is the time of year where you expect folks mostly to be off the desk. A lot of people are already gone for the holiday season out there. That's reflected in some of the volume we're seeing coming across the tape today. Only cost you 355,000 contracts to break into the top 10. That gets us to our old pal Broadcom, aka AVGO, listeners. Where was AVGO going today? It was going to the upside, up about 1 3/4 points, closing 341 and about a half, up about 0.5% out there today. And again, 355,000 contracts on the tape for the number 10 spot today. The hot option in Broadcom today. We're keeping things thematic. There's been a lot of weekly upside in a lot of these names we've been talking about, and that is the case again this week. The hot option in AVGO today, 19,000 of the 350 calls expiring this week. Average price for these bad boys, $2.20. And once again, if you think Broadcom has a run in it on this shortened holiday week, maybe you think those are cheap. Mr. Nick, sir, any thoughts on what's kicking off our top 10 here? Good old Broadcom, sir.
I think I'm going to leave the regular part of the show to you, and then I'm going to kick in when it comes to, I'll jump in as necessary, but I'm going to kick in when it comes to a little spice. How about this? You're going to serve the pizza, and I'll throw on the peppers every once in a while to give people a little bit of insight and what else they could take a look at.
All right, let me know when you're feeling spicy, sir. As I keep on rolling out here to number 9, listeners. There's been a lot of tech names in our top 10s for the last few months, and that continues today. Number 9, AMD, listeners. AMD putting up 361,000 contracts for the number 9 spot today. Popping a little bit today as well, up about $1.50, closing just a tick shy of 215 on the tape out there today. And the hot option in AMD land, listeners, 27,000 of the 220s. Average price for these, not quite $2, about $1.92. As we keep climbing up to number 8, listeners, this is our old pal, the Monster, aka MicroStrategy, aka Strategy these days. I had a bit of a wild day if you were watching Bitcoin out there today. It was up, it was down, all over the place. And the same thing with the Monster. Got all the way up to a little bit north of 170, about 170 and 2/3 before coming back to earth, closing 164.32, off about 1/3% on the day, listeners. Putting up 368,000 contracts for the number 8 spot. The hot option in the Monster today, perhaps a sign of things to come. We're going to the downside. It's the DEES 150 puts, listeners. Average price for these, about 54 cents. So once again, if you think the Monster might have a little bit more downside in it, maybe you like those, or perhaps you're willing to draw the line in the sand and say sold to you. As we keep climbing on our top 10 for this Monday, listeners, up to Netflix. This has been a hot one of late. It's been all over the place. And of course, their deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. Netflix coming back off some of their recent highs, trading today down about a little over $1, about $1.16, closing 93.23, putting up 403,000 contracts for the number 7 spot today, the hot option in Netflix. Going all the way out to Jan, so a bit of a respite from our weekly action out there. 21,000 of the Jan pars, the Jan 100. So once again, if you think this name has a little bit more upside, you want to go all the way out through the end of next month, perhaps you like these Jan pars for 84 cents, listeners. As we keep climbing to number 6, the artist formerly known as Facebook. Yeah, it's Meta, 661.5, up 2 3/4, or not quite 0.5%, putting up 424,000 contracts for the number 6 spot, the hot option in Meta today, 23, almost 24,000 of the D670s, again expiring this week. Average price for these, not giving these away, listeners, $3.71. As we keep on climbing back to the A-Tech names, listeners, you know there's always an A-Tech name to be found on our list. We got a few more for you actually this week. Number 5, the Amazonians coming in 444,000 contracts, popping a little over $1 today, closing 228.43 out there in Amazon. The hot option in Amazon today, listeners, 42, almost 43,000 of the D's 230s. So a little bit of near-term upside. Average price for these, about $1.30. So once again, if you think Amazon has a little bit of a run in it on this truncated holiday week, perhaps you like those. As we keep climbing to number 4, Apple. Apple not climbing today. A rare red day for the fruit company, coming in the number 4 spot, selling off almost $3, $2.70, about exactly 1%, closing right around 271 out there today, putting up 554,000 contracts for the number 4 spot, the hot option in the fruit company today, listeners, 67,000 of the 275s expiring this Friday. Average price for these right around 74 cents. As we keep climbing to another name that's had a wild trajectory of late, listeners, it's Palantir, popping 60 cents today, closing just a tick shy of 194, putting up 639,000 contracts for the number 3 spot, the hot option in Palantir today, 69,000 of the D's pars, the 200 calls expiring this week. Average price for these, $1.62. If you think Palantir can get back up there, threaten those all-time highs, and perhaps you like these as we keep climbing. You know, the top 2, listeners, we know what they are. Just a question of what order they're going to come in. And will it be Tesla or will it be Nvidia at the number 2 spot? Nope, it's Nvidia. Very quiet day. Again, it is that time of year, listeners. Nvidia coming at the number 2 spot, only 1.67 million contracts on the tape. That's almost half of what we come to expect from Nvidia these days. Nvidia closing 183.69, up 270, or about 1.5%. The hot option in Nvidia land today, 132,000 of the 185 calls. Average price for these, $1.48. All right, and that gets us to our number 1 spot on our hot options report for today. You know it, you love it, maybe you hate it. It's Tesla. It's been a wild one. If you listened to the hot options report last week, you know there was a ton of interest that ended up not working out on the 500 calls, the par calls, listeners. The question remains, will that be the case again this week? Tesla rallying back again today. 488 and 3/4 is where it went out. Up about $7.50 or about 1.5%. Got as high earlier this session as 498 listeners. I have a feeling, once again, we're going to see some interest, some action on those pars, and that was the case. The hot option in Tesla land today, 162,000 of the D's pars expiring this week. Average price for these, $5.63. So you know the deal, listeners. If Tesla can't get there by the end of the week, or at least threaten it to make those look good, then you may be regretting that $5.63 kind. We'll see if that continues throughout the rest of the week. Last week, the pars didn't look that great. We'll see if they have a better run this week. Nick, we have a question coming here for you and a couple other things. But before we do that, you said you wanted to add some spice. So any spice you wanted to add on our top 10 or how folks are using the hotoptionsreport.com, sir?
Yeah, I think what you did is great. When I look at Thor, there's a couple different ways that you can sort of skin this cat. On the top level, you're seeing that bird's eye view, and Mark tends to focus on the outright volume of the top 10, right? But there's other ways to look at it in terms of total trade count and also total premium. You're going to probably see very similar rankings when it comes to the premium and the volume, but there's just other ways. By pushing those buttons, you can see things. And then the other part that we don't necessarily present right off the bat in Thor, and that's going to make me take some notes and in all likelihood add it to the report so it's a little bit easier to see, is Mark does the roll up on the strikes, on the big strike, right? So but we don't focus on that on Thor. We sort of push the top outright trades within that list to you, but we'll make an addition. So those top strikes within the top volume symbols will show up right away. And that top strike is going to encompass not only the outrights, but the spreads, the sweeps, the covers, all that kind of stuff. So it just gives you a little bit different flavor. So, but the spice I think I want to throw in there is, the show and what people want to see a lot of the times tends to focus on the big names, right? But what you could easily do as part of Thor, or as part of QuikOptions in general, when you land there on the first time, there is a little filter that you can click and turn on, and what that filter will let you do is look at things, from as high level as limiting it to a particular exchange, or you can separate it out by market cap or days to expiration. So if you want to see what's hot that's expiring in less than a week, the report will reflect just the options that are only going off this week, right? So it's kind of a nice little extra that you could throw in there. You can look at just calls and just puts. You can look at a delta or a delta range or any size. You want to look at stuff that's less than 10, so you can see what the retail market's potentially doing, or a particular time in the market. So that's really the spice. You what you see is what you get when you land there. But the reality is there's so much more just by filtering. I like to look at it. I like to go down to the micros and the smalls just to see what's big in the names that we don't necessarily hear so often, on the news. But you want to see what's trading big in those smaller cap stocks. So there's a little bit of the spice that I'd like to throw in there. And also, as you're looking at the report, if you are looking at the report as we're talking about it, you see there's a little 3-line hamburger menu next to each symbol in all the tables. If you click on that hamburger, you're going to be able to bring up, if you in all the symbols we're talking about today, you recognize those names and what those companies are. But if we go down to the smaller cap or the micros, you're able to click on that little hamburger menu and see what that company does or who that company is, and also see a price chart at the same time, so you don't have to jump off and leave the report to go look around. But that's sort of the intent of Thor. It gives you, the overall big picture of where the majority of the volume's taking place, but then also to kind of, a lot of people like trading the small and the micros, but this gives you a Thor with an asterisk, because then you can dive in more deeply in a space that you might feel more comfortable trading.
You're going to get me to launch another show, aren't you? The micro Thor or something along those lines. Got enough shows as it is.
The Thor. Nick. It'll be Thor. It'll be lowercase. Yeah, lowercase Thor.
Baby Thor.
Lowercase Thor.
Baby Thor.
Instead of the uppercase Thor.
Well, speaking of homework, Mr. Nick.
That's the thing to really keep it. Yep.
Speaking of homework, I didn't plan for this to work out this way, but folks have questions for you. So you down for a little bit of homework of your own before we wrap up the Hot Options Report on this truncated holiday week, sir? All right,
my favorite part of every show is the questions.
All right, let's go out to Mr. Unlimited in the chat. He's got a bunch for you. We'll see if we can condense them. First off, he says, for Nick Howard, awesome product with QuikOptions. So there you go, Mr. Nick. You're already getting the love. You're here for 5 minutes. You're getting all the love. He says, but one question. I see where I can see the upcoming earnings, but is there a place where I can see yesterday's or last week's earnings?
That's fantastic. Right now, we really limit it towards what's going on today and going forward. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have the information, but we certainly can add some tabs to let you go back. Now, if you knew which symbols had their earnings, you can always go to the symbol and you can see earnings information for years and years back for every symbol. But we don't give you a quick and dirty way to see what happened yesterday or the day before. But I've already taken that note. I read the show notes. That's a great suggestion. And you can expect to see something shortly where you'll be able to go back. I'm going to tell you, you probably won't be able to go back more than a handful of days, just for the sake of, the page being condensed and not too many date tabs. But we'll get you something that you can go see what happened. No problem.
There you go, folks. Ask and you shall receive. Where else do you get that kind of response here? Let's keep rolling. He's got a few more for you, Mr. Nick. He says, any chance of a heat map? Also, I find it funny and cool that the senators and Congress members' trades are listed. That is cool. That could be another show in and of itself, Mr. Nick, a conversation for another day. Any chance we can see what they own in a watch list? Oh, and he's got another thing. Also, going to sign up for the paid version today. Thank you. It's a fun and great product and very affordable for the retail. Nick, is this your mom? Is Mr. Unlimited actually your mom here? This is a lot of love for you, sir.
Okay, so for the first thing I would say is heat map is a tough one. So heat map for what part of the market? So there's a variety of different heat maps that we have available, bubble plots, that kind of thing. So so there are different. So if you look, so Mark, if you could walk people through here. If you go up to the markets, next to Thor, there's a more menu, and if you click market map, you're going to get a variety of different heat maps. You'll get symbol-oriented heat maps, which are targeted towards price, and you'll have there's symbol-oriented heat maps, which you have change in price, and you have change in volume as a percentage of a prior day, prior week, prior month. And then a volume as a percentage of market cap. So you got, variations on a theme there, and you could even exclude the Mag 7 to make that map be a little bit more palatable from a square standpoint. And then you also have options heat map for the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Dow Jones to see total volume, call volume, and put volume. So there's a variety of different heat maps available there, and then a lot of different bubble charts as well. And then since my mom is listening, and that's a great question from her, we'll also attach, let's see, what do we have? You said, so it's still free. There's no need to sign up yet. It's probably going to be, I had mentioned through the end of the year. In all likelihood, we're going to let that run through January 31st as we get sort of some of the mechanics in place from the different roles. But the price is on the pricing sheet. You could see it. It is what it's going to be right now. And we're going to be very limited in terms of there's not going to be a lot of deals. We're not going to be sending you 1,000 emails to say, hey, this week for, Converse gym shoe day, you're going to get a 10% discount. Price is going to stay the same because it's so affordable. We're going to just keep it simple, And then as far as the watch lists of the House and Senate, that's a great suggestion. We certainly, since our watch list functionality is very flexible, it's certainly something that we could look into. So we'll definitely take a look at that.
He mentions a heat map just for any watch list. So if you make a watch list, you can have a heat map to go. That's what he was asking for, I guess.
You certainly can. So here, let's talk about that real quick then too. If you go, let me see if it's there. You know what? We didn't turn that on, but that's easy. That's actually really easy for us to do. So you want to create for your favorites list, you want to be able to have a heat map associated with that list. That's what he's saying. Okay. Or he or she or they, whatever it is. Yeah, that's not hard to do at all. We just didn't turn that on, thinking that people wouldn't be that interested in it. But that's an easy thing for us to turn on, a market map, a heat map with any list of symbols. Yep, no problem.
That's what your mom was looking for here, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, that's fine. All you got to do with us, typically, you just got to ask, right? And if it's not too crazy, we typically have already sort of have it in a hopper, or it's something that we can twist a little bit and put something together. But that shouldn't be a problem.
We got a few more here for you, Mr.
Sure.
Nick. If you're down for it, let's go out to
always.
Option God. The Option God wants to know, where can I find a scan that includes IBIT? It's obviously not a stock name. Do I just use the top ETF scans? I can see why he'd be confused, because if he goes straight through that hot options report, there's multiples, right? There's stock, there's ETF, and there's crypto. So he can IBIT could be considered on a lot of those ones. So he wants to know specifically if he clicks on one of those, or I guess he can just look for the symbol. But I think he's looking for top. Where would he find it on a list of most actives?
Your answer to that is correct. So what we try to do is separate all the reports out by the different segments of the equity market. So in all likelihood, you'll click over on the left-hand side. Once you click Thor on the left-hand side, you see stock ETF index. So Thor will then limit according to that particular section of the market. If you want to look, we do have some custom lists that are some user lists that are available. And I think we have, we have a ETF groupings. If you look in the list in the ETF grouping, there's a Bitcoin list, and there you'll be able to see all the different Bitcoin ETFs that we have. Now, as far as that goes in terms of having a map, we could easily do that as well. But what we try to do is we try to give you enough to sort of get started, and then you should be able to create your watch lists right now, so you can create your own watch lists and then look at the leaderboard and all that kind of thing within your particular watch list too. So definitely something to and that leaderboard, for instance, will be within the volume menu and stuff like that. So some of what I'm saying might not be graspable without you walking through and seeing it as we're talking. But once we get the UI sort of stabilized, which should be in the next couple of weeks, then you'll see a lot of videos which will talk you through all these particular different options. Let's put it this way. Everything you're asking is probably very close to being there, already in there, or easy enough for us to do. And then, there's so many different ways you can look at the information. I think you'll find what you need someplace.
All right, a couple more here for you. Let's go out to Frank. Frank wants to know, can Nick explain how I find the hot option in a particular name? For example, I'm clicking on Tesla right now. So he's in it right now. He says, where do I go to find the D's 500 calls in the most active? That's what we were just talking about, Mr. Nick. So we got Frank and a Nick here. And he wants to know, he's looking at the hot options report. How does he find that?
Okay, so what I would do is just start with just search for Tesla. Okay, so go in there and search for Tesla. And once you search for Tesla, okay, you can click on, we have a menu item that's called Tradar, okay? So short for Trade Radar. If you click on Trade Radar, then what you're going to be able to see is you're going to land on an overview page for Tesla itself. And what you're going to see is the overall volume metrics in some wheel charts up on the top. And then you're going to see 4 boxes: top outrights, top spreads, top strikes, and top volume over OI. And what you're asking for is there's a top strikes down in the bottom left corner, minus positive, negative X, negative Y in the quadrant. You'll see the top strikes, and you'll see the 163,000 of the 500 calls in deck that Mark was referring to. And then from there, you can jump off, and here's where the real power of Quick comes into play. So this overview is for the entirety of the Tesla product. But if you just want to see a top expiration, all you have to do, the top within a given expiration, all you have to do is click one of the expirations above that, and it will limit that overview report just to that expiration. So that's where people are really going to find it, because most people are going to end up trading 1 to 5 expirations, right? We're not going to all trade the entire term structure. It's too hard, it's too expensive. But here's where you can really dive in and see what's going on here. So that's the real power of Quick. It's overall, you can see the overall market, and then the product as an overall market itself, but then dive into the specifics of an expiration very, very easily.
All right, Nick, you're giving me homework here as well. We got people chiming in saying they'd listen to a show about insider trading of congressmen and congresswomen. So there you go, Nick. I need a new show now. Problem is that data is not quite day to day. It's a little bit lagging. You get those reports.
Yes, it is. It is.
We could do like once a quarter show, I guess, or once a month maybe.
Yeah, what we do is we're polling it all day, right? But it's really tends to be somewhat sporadic because they're not reporting when they're supposed to necessarily. So you're going to get a bunch of them on a given day, and sometimes you'll get a bunch on a day, and those trades will have taken place over the course of maybe 2 or 3 weeks, right? So, and plus with all the talk about them potentially not letting them trade the stocks, I wish that it would get to that point and just do ETFs, but we'll see how the market answers that.
That music means we're kind of coming up against it here, but I will say this for you, Mr. Nick. On top of all the praise you've already gotten and great questions, your mom just wrote in to say she's proud of you right there, a.k.a. who was it, Mr. Unlimited. He said he's very proud of her boy. So there we go.
Thank you. Thank you.
A lot of love. A lot of love for you, Mr. Nick, on the show, which I get it. He went to all the trouble, listeners, of creating a URL just for listeners of the show, thehotoptionsreport.com. So if you've been listening to the show for a while and you haven't yet kicked the tires and light the fires, I've been saying it for a while here on the network. You can't beat the data. It's better than what a lot of your brokers are going to be bringing to the table. You sure as hell can't beat the price. What are you waiting for? TheHotOptionsReport.com, the place to go to learn more. Mr. Nick, anything else you want to leave the folks with before we head out of here for today?
No, same as always. I mean, we appreciate the support. I think what you're going to find, it's like we've always sort of done. We try to keep it. We try to make it pretty. We try to make it easy to use right off the bat. But there's so much depth to this data, and I'm always pushing Mark to have a video-based show so we can really show how to use the tools, right? But once you get in there, once you dive in, I think you're going to be able to find everything that you need pretty easily, and then save it and come back to it on the regular basis. So I'm excited for the people that are using it. Get out there, register. It's still free. You got another month and a half, so go ahead and use it. That in and of itself should be incentive enough, And then, like I had always mentioned, it's probably going to be $34 a month, and with some opportunities for a very small discount, but that will come, that will be in general based on where you're getting your information about the show.
There you go. Kick the tires and light the fires. The Hot Options Report.com is literally just the name of the show you just listened to. Easy to remember. Check it out. You can't beat the data. You sure as heck can't beat the price. The Hot Options Report.com is the place to go. We got to get on out of here, but don't worry, we're not done for this shortened holiday week. Not by a long shot. The producers hate me, listeners, but they love you. Cracking the whip. I'll be back tomorrow with not just an early episode of Options Bootcamp coming at you on an Education Tuesday tomorrow, as opposed to Education Wednesday. But we're also coming at you with yet another pro Q&A session with our friends over there at Interactive Brokers. Get those questions in now. Should be a fun one. Before we wrap up another broadcast day with another edition of the Hot Options Report. See you tomorrow. And of course, stay safe out there, everybody.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.